Jeez, what do I say? Well, the 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you want 1, 2, 3, 4 into the mic, or do you want me to go the other side of the room and shout it like in proper Ramones fashion?
Yes, go for yes, absolutely. That would be fucking great.
I'm gonna have my headphones are going off, but
okay,
just get ready for me to do this, and I'm gonna run back. Here I go.
Okay, we'll see if this works.
1, 2, 3, 4.
On this episode of Punks Talk Wrestling, we are continuing to celebrate Payback Month with our top 10 heel turns, the first in our top 10 series. I'm RW Hellborn, and I am here with the proper prick, CJ Newman.
What's up? I think Jinder Mahal was a really good world champion.
You're goddamn right he was. He was the best champion of all time, in my opinion, of champions of all time that include Jinder Mahal. No, I love Jinder Mahal. You know I love Jinder Mahal.
Jinder Mahal,
I will never hinder the Jinder.
Don't hinder Jinder. You can't hinder Jinder.
I am 100% into the Jinder jam. I am a Jinder Jamanac. If you want to make it Mahalamaniac, would it be?
Mahalamaniac. That's a good one.
Mahalamaniac, yeah.
Fucking Jinder Jam's good though.
Yeah, I'm
well into the gym.
Yeah, that might have a different connotation. Jinder Jam.
Yeah, but you already said it now, so you can't.
I've already said it, and it's so it's it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one. You get me every time.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I think that's
That was good. I think that was good. I think that was
one
good.
take, one and done. Just like Jinder's world championship.
Just like his world title shot. Yeah.
God, I want to see Jinder Mahal as world champion again someday.
It's not gonna happen. I'm sorry.
And he may have one more NXT run in him. You never know. I don't know what he's doing down there right now.
He's not. He's on the main roster. He's with Indus Sher, kind of.
I thought he was in NXT with Indus Sher. Is he on both?
No. I'm pretty sure they got drafted to the main roster in the draft.
100%. Jinder Mahal and Indus Sher were in NXT. What happened to that? I am not dreaming this, am I? Fuck! I gotta go back.
No. You're 100%. You're correct, but I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna find out right now. I'm pretty sure they got drafted.
Was that just a one and done rivalry?
It was not really one and. I think they would just say New Year's Evil. Did he just pop down? Here we go. As part of the 2023 WWE draft, Mahal would return to the main roster as Indus Sher collectively was drafted to the Raw brand.
Oh, that's what happened to the Angle.
The
Angle
just done nothing with them since, basically.
Okay. Whoa.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. Yeah.
You never know. We might get a little tag team title run from Indus Sher and a little Intercontinental title run from Jinder.
Hey man, I would love for them to come up and get involved in all these little battles with
faction warfare.
Yeah, little faction warfare. Give it to me.
Yeah. They got a big India show coming up soon as well, actually.
Really? Oh well, that's good.
So
I can keep up. Yeah. All right. Well, then we can keep up on that. All right. Anyway.
Okay, so what are we going for here? Are we going for an order? Are we going to make the order on the show?
Shit, man, I think the show's already started.
All right, okay, let's fucking go for it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I guess we're just gonna do it live, baby.
Let's do it.
As live as can be. Well, we've got a couple of things. How do we want to order this? That's a good question. This is what live will get you. I think part of this is just fuck. Let's just rewind this. That's I'm stumbling. I'm looking at the list and trying to talk at the same time. That just does not work. You know me. I cannot multitask. Let's tell the people a little bit about heel turns. Should we? Shall we?
What is a heel turn?
What really is a heel turn?
What is a heel turn?
Anyway. Let's get into the weeds about what makes a good heel turn. Traditionally, this is a real good question for the both of us. Is what is a good heel turn to you? For me, obviously.
So, all right, I'll go first here. If I go about my favorite kind of heel turn, it's the ones that are unexpected, where you really don't see it coming. Like, I really mean you don't see it coming.
Yeah.
You couldn't even predicted it. It's normally when for me, when someone turns on a partner or a friend, those are the ones that are normally, they create those moments, right? Those moments that you kind of remember. There are other nuanced heel turns, which we will get into, because there are very nuanced heel turns. But those, I would say, are like the classic heel turns that tend to go on to be like the ones you remember forever. The ones that are just so... Because they're like a moment. They're like a shot. They're like, bang. It's like, what? Excuse me? Did that just happen?
Definitive moments in a performer's career, like usually accompanies a direct character change. A good heel turn. Good heel turns are my favorite. One of my favorite things of professional wrestling. Like you said, the best ones for me are the same. Is when you really don't see it coming. That's a really special type of turn. But I also am. I can't lie. I'm a fan of the choreographed turn. The it's coming. And again we'll get to my examples of that too.
Yeah.
It's a nuanced part of it. It really is.
There is the it's coming, but you just don't know when, and that's always quite good.
And you don't want it to happen. Like that's one of the nuances. Is there's the inevitable turn that you just don't want to happen.
Exactly.
And so you like everything in your heart and soul is
for example,
hoping it doesn't go there, but it will.
So a heel turn that never did happen, but when RK Bro were together, everyone was like, man, Randy's going to turn on Riddle, and we were all like, we don't want it to happen because this is so good, but we know it's going to, and it didn't happen. So. Great
example of current, because it still has time. It still has plenty.
There's still
of time
chance of it happening. Yeah.
There is still a 100+% chance of it happening.
Yeah, exactly.
It's because Randy's one of those people. Randy's one of those people that, let's talk about since we're talking about it, let's go into the no order of it. You wanted me to just pull in? Randy is the same type that Sasha is, like, and Sasha Banks is definitely on my list of one of my favorite heel turns, heel turns.
Yep.
It is an inevitable one. Her turn. If we're gonna go right into it,
let's go right into it.
Yeah, let's go into one of my favorite heel turns. It was August 12th, 2019 on episode of Raw. Sasha had been out. I think she was out for injury, or she was just out for a little while.
Yep.
And went out as a face, as she normally does, and it was the anniversary of Jim Neidhart. God, I'm butchering this. This is terrible. Anniversary of Jim Neidhart's death, and Natalya was in the ring and was going to give a speech, a heartfelt speech, and the boss's music hits. Instantly, it's a pop for her return, which is an uncomfortably weird time to have a pop for her return.
Yeah, a little bit.
Of course, but as soon it's one of those. Wait a second. Wait, what's happening?
Yeah, why are you here? Yeah.
Like, oh God, this is terrible. I'm about to witness a horrible thing happen here. And Natalya, I mean, bless her for her talent and her character work. Like, she played it so well.
I don't know if you remember, like, a big part that made this even worse is that when Sasha was coming to the ring, she went up to a couple of younger girls in the front row and gave them her necklace and stuff. That really played into the fact that she was a face,
Yeah. Did we talk about this earlier, or did we just talk about this off? I mean, literally talk about this just earlier, or did we talk about this previously to the podcast? But I feel like that was brought up. That whole no, it wasn't you. It wasn't. This was a conversation. I just saw someone. Jesus, I'm getting getting all of my inputs crossed. When I was looking up information on that turn, I saw comments to that same effect. Like,
right, yeah,
there were people criticizing that because if she was a heel, why did she do that? So because she was still a face up until that moment. Like, that's the whole point of.
And plus, you want to make everyone think you are a face.
Yeah, she didn't come. It's one of those nuances, like we said, is that she interacted up until the moment of her turn as if she was still a face.
She gets in the ring. She hugs Natalia. She touches her chest. She points to the sky as if to say, like. She comes out there.
She gives her and as a performer, I'm sure that was 100% communicated beforehand. Like, they both, that obviously they were in on it. So that was, in a way, it was her way of giving true respects. Like, it's part of the nuances of the performer that you get to see.
Yeah, exactly.
And the performance they get to give is the real thing, the real interactions that are real. And then it's like, click, nope, back to the universe.
And obviously there's that she obviously has she's wearing a pink wig when she comes out. Obviously,
yeah.
She like would have pink hair whenever she was face, and then blue hair whenever she was a heel.
Exactly, and it looked weird that on TV, watching it live on TV. I noticed that, and that was like the first clue of like, why is Sasha Banks' hair bad? Because Sasha Banks doesn't come out with bad hair.
Right, yeah, yeah. Like, it did look kind of baggy on her head, kind of thing.
It looked a little stuck. And I'm like, oh shit, that's a wig. Oh, it's coming. And then, because at this point, Sasha had turned, on so many people. Sasha Banks' heel turns are just one of my favorite things ever. And so, back to the point of sometimes when you know it's coming, you do enjoy it.
Yeah.
People in the audience couldn't tell. Now, again, she's playing to the crowd.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
The crowd of people in that arena couldn't tell she was wearing a wig.
No.
They didn't know anything. And so kudos to the boss for always.
She's always been very good at, like, if you go back to, she faced Bayley on NXT, one of the very early NXT takeovers in an Iron Woman match.
Yeah.
And she made Izzy. You remember the girl Izzy used to sit in the front row that was like Bayley's biggest fan?
Oh yeah.
Made her cry, like made a little girl cry. So she had no issue coming to the ring, hugging those fans and being like, "Oh, I'm back, so nice to see you," and then just break their hearts.
Yeah. Oh, she is brutal about it.
Yeah. She don't give a damn.
No, and you have to be able to do that. So they're right off the bat is one of. We'll put that at 10 because because this isn't an order.
Yeah, right. Let's put that here. Well, no, let's not put it at 10. Let's put it right now number 1 because there's nothing better, nothing worse. So that's number 1.
Yeah, you know what? Here we go. We'll kind of rank them. We'll rank them
as we go.
We'll start it off. Let's see. The next one we'll say we'll put it above or below.
All right. Should we go back and forth and put them out randomly one by one? Should we do that?
Yeah, I think this is how we're gonna do this.
All right. Here we go.
For the people listening, yeah, we're coming up with some of these on the fly, just like you do.
Try and go with a similar NXT theme since Sasha's from NXT, and we'll go with someone who's quite known for turning on people, and his name's Kevin Owens.
Yes,
so we got December 11th, 2014 at NXT TakeOver R Evolution.
My freaking birthday.
Your freaking birthday, that's right. So, a little backstory to this.
Probably should be putting that personal information on the internet. Scratch that.
There it is. But, so, little context to this. This was not only amazing heel turn, but this was also the night that Kevin Owens made his debut.
Right.
He debuted in the first match of the night against, oh my god, I can't remember his name. That's gonna bug me.
When you talk about it, I'll look it up.
All right, cool. Yeah, so he was had his first match of the night. He obviously came out as a face. He obviously maybe pre-promoted to be on the show. won his match there, and actually, I think he broke his nose in that match. Which
yeah,
because
I believe so. Yeah, he was pretty banged up.
Yeah, so
it was C.J. Parker.
C.J. Parker, that's his name. So it comes out later that night. So Sami Zayn is in the main event of the pay-per-view against Adrian Neville at the time, beats Adrian Neville for the NXT Championship, which is something that people were clamoring for ages, for Sami Zayn to win the world title with the NXT title. Obviously, Kevin Owens comes out being, his best friend from Ring of Honor and the Indies and everything. Comes out, celebrates with him in the ring. Everything's going great, and then as they leave the ring, power bombs him.
Arm.
Pop up, arm in arm. Pop up, power bombs him. Oh no, actually, he grabs him and throws him backwards onto the ramp.
Yeah, short. Yeah. It was short arm clothesline. Just spins around and levels him. I watched. I mean, that was on both of our lists.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So I went back and watched that as well. Just beautiful. And not to cut that up, but to your point, this was my first introduction to Kevin Owens as well. Like I knew very little about him.
Same. To be honest, I mean, I knew a little bit, but I didn't know much. No.
Sorry. Yeah. I don't know where we left. I don't know. We paused there, but that was a brilliant turn. I mean, did he beat him? He clotheslined him and then he power bombed him into the ring apron.
Yeah, so he basically it's kind of grabs him by the neck and then pushes him down to the floor and then gives them the power bomb onto the apron. It's one of these heel turns that's like, no, I wouldn't say it's expected. You would expect this heel turn to happen. You would expect this heel turn to happen, but you wouldn't have expected it to happen on his debut.
Yeah, and again to the point of people who people who knew their careers before they got to NXT might have expected him to turn on him because Kevin Owens has a history of turning on Sami Zayn.
That's right.
their entire career.
The way that the WWE promoted it is that they obviously talked about the fact that Sami and Kevin were friends from growing up and being the indies together, but they never, obviously, why would they talk about storylines that happened in another company?
No.
So I wasn't savvy to that. I knew about them before they came, but I didn't know much about them.
Exactly. I knew they were friends.
I knew that, but all I knew is that they were friends. It's all I knew. So when Kevin just turns on him straight away, I was just
what? Yeah.
It took me back. Yeah, and it made me immediately intrigued in a guy that I didn't know anything about. It made him super interesting to me straight away. I wanted to know a lot more about him immediately.
That's a great point too. It's like it immediately made me pay attention to him because there's you may have heard me say it before in previous groups together. One of the biggest things that like a wrestler can do. Tell me who you are and show me why I should care about you. Give me something that shows me what you are and who you are, and that's what Kevin Owens is so good at.
It was so impactful. As I said, imagine that night he just made his debut against CJ Parker, but that was it. That was just his debut, and then he spent the next few months just having like jobber matches on NXT and. The normal formula, but I don't think the normal formula would have worked out for Kevin Owens. I think being basically an arsehole immediately, you got to know him straight away.
You needed that because it instantly put credibility on Kevin Owens. It instantly put more credibility on Sami Zayn because he just won the championship and immediately his best friend is on him. It put both of them, skyrocketed them both to the top of NXT and made everybody pay attention to them more than they already had. Now, I mean, granted, the NXT fan base was very was very savvy to the indies at that time. A lot of them were. I'll be perfectly honest. I am not. I never.
No,
have
same.
Been.
I keep my finger on the pulse enough to know who people are, but that's really as far as it goes. I don't really know as to what's going on storyline wise and stuff like that. So
yeah, it was it was definitely a great time for NXT.
Yeah,
to bring some of these guys in.
Yeah, big time. I mean, they really went all in on Kevin Owens as well, because the next you had our Evolution, which was in December, and literally 2 months later, on February 11th, was NXT Rival, and Kevin Owens beat Sami Zayn for the world title by knockout.
Oh, it was I remember that.
Yeah, he just beat the
match.
crap out of him.
Well, and again, this was a WWE was pretty good at doing it end of year kind of stuff. Now it's sort of they've cycled back to after WrestleMania. There's these points of definitive change.
Yeah.
Of the company, and the KO Sammy rivalry era was the biggest story.
Yeah.
It started off that year. It led them in. And it kickstarted both of them. For their main roster. It was fucking brilliant. What can you say?
Pretty much
fucking brilliant.
And just to blow your mind, that's coming up to nearly 10 years ago. So
yeah, holy yeah, it's about 9 years ago was that.
All right,
yeah.
So where are we ranking this now? Above or below Sasha?
Well, as far as impact all around, it's definitely it's definitely more impactful than Sasha's heel turns. I think to the overall storyline, like Sasha's turn against Natalya solidified her, her again as a top heel. She's always in the top.
Right.
This had more to. This wasn't just about the two people involved. This was also about a shift in the entire NXT branding. So I think it's got to go above.
It takes more importance. Yeah, I think it does, and I think it's
more impactful. There was more impact than just between the two of them.
Yeah, but you already knew what Sasha Banks, who she was and what she was, but with Kevin Owens, you didn't really know, and he immediately told you what he was, and that's
exactly. Yeah.
That's an absolute piece of shit. So
yeah. That is true.
Yeah. All right, I'll let you take the next one then. Case?
All right. Well, if we're gonna go back, let's go way back. Let's go way back, because this is before your time.
Yeah, just about before my time. Yeah,
just about before. I mean, you were alive.
Wait, which one are we talking here?
We're going back to the main event 2 on February 3rd of 1989.
Oh, I was not alive. I was alive 4 months later.
Oh, that's right. You were not alive. Yes, you were. Well, you were still alive. You were then.
Yeah, in a way.
It's debatable. Let's not.
Let's not go there. Jesus.
Let's not go there at all. That might definitely get edited out. You might be considered alive by some.
Yeah, I mean,
may not
by
be
some standards,
by others.
Yeah, but that's okay. Either's fine.
You could. Your mother may have been putting wrestling up to the belly. Like that's a nice image. That's a
lovely image. Let's leave it on that one. Yeah,
we'll go with that. We'll go on that angle. How quickly can we edit?
Speaking of angles, can you explain this angle to us?
This was so the main event 2. Yeah, this was when Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan were teaming as the Mega Maniacs. This was
Mega Powers, right?
Mega Powers, yes. I'm sorry. Yeah. What was the Mega Maniacs? Oh, the Mega Maniacs was I think the WCW version of.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah.
Hogan and Savage had teamed up as the Mega Powers at this point, and we don't need to go back and this isn't a review of the entire thing, but this was as a child. I was a child at this point too, watching this. This was the first major turn that I witnessed,
right.
Essentially in real time. I didn't hear about it. It wasn't a looking back in review of years past. This was I saw this happen on TV, and I was shocked because my two favorite wrestlers who were finally buddies are now enemies again, and it was the first real like heartbreak as a kid was seeing Randy Savage just completely go crazy over and not really being able to process the complex relationship structure that they must have had or why any of this as a kid perfect scenario
right
as a kid I didn't make any sense to me anything that was going on. Like I didn't see any of, even though I watched it unfold, I saw I was watching wrestling as a kid pretty regularly, so I was seeing the build up, and I remember seeing the Mega Powers get together and the whole thing with Elizabeth getting injured and the beginning of the rift, but it didn't. And I specifically remember Jesse Ventura on commentary always being so negative and leaning into like the questionable stuff, because he was a heel, and it was perfectly reasonable for him to do that. Watching back as an adult, I'm like, wow, man, I can kind of see how easily it would be to get down a slippery slope of this. Man, it was such a well done, and kind of it was the first time that I remember seeing WWE do a long play.
It was the first storyline of its kind. It was a lot less linear than storylines in the part. It had more moving parts to it, and it was more. It was the most the most soap opera type storyline that they had done up until that point. The one thing I do like about the backstage, when Miss Elizabeth is on the gurney. I'll use an American word for you there, gurney. We don't use that over here.
What is the British term over there? What would you call a mobile hospital bed?
A stretcher. For every, you guys call it stretchers too, but we call it stretchers regardless, no matter what.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You just don't delineate between whether it's being carried or whether.
No, stretcher's a stretcher to us.
Gotcha.
So when she's laying on the gurney stretcher, and they're having that discussion, and they're yelling at each other. Well, Macho's more yelling at Hogan than anything else. That kind of backstage segment where you've got like a handheld camera and you're in a room that is just a room, if you get what I mean.
It's not
but
we've seen backstage segments before. We've seen the Piper's Pit. So
any backstage segment up before this point was an interview segment with like a WWF logo in the background, or as I say, Piper's Pit, barbershop, whatever.
Yeah.
But this was like the first of its kind where it was like an actual backstage, and it revolutionized essentially WWE programming from that point forward, because that is a thing you see now on a weekly basis. Backstage attacks, probably one of the first ever backstage attacks ever filmed. Really, maybe I don't know. But
as far as we're especially in WWE, which again, this is what we're focusing on.
Right.
Chris, we both ramble on a lot to each other and do need to. I need to remind myself that there may be an audience listening there. So we want to make sure that they know that we're not leaving any part of this out. We are. We're still getting our bearings on all of these things. So we are a WWE centric podcast at the moment, because that's just what we have the most knowledge of, and
exactly.
But we want to give credit to the fact that all of these things that we're picking out are they're all WWE based.
Yeah,
but that's not to say within amazing heel turns.
Exactly.
Otherwise, but anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, back to that. I think you're absolutely right, and it didn't even dawn on me until literally you just brought it up now. It's like, yeah, that's the first time I've never seen that before.
So that made it way more impactful because of that.
It felt real.
It felt real
really real.
It felt like, whoa, why are they filming the medical room? Like this doesn't feel planned.
And this is a precursor to this is 1989.
Right.
This is a precursor to actual reality TV.
Yeah,
once again, WWE not getting the credit for revolutionary television that they so deserve. But but you know what? They've never asked for it, and they've never wanted that recognition because they've always held their own.
Exactly.
Even though it was still kayfabe was very much alive back in that. Of course they're not going to. They want you to think it's all real.
Right. Exactly.
Still, they still have. It was still alive, but this was. You're right. This is the first time ever seeing this, and so this has got to go. I mean, this has got to go above.
It's going to go above both. I mean,
it's going to go above both of them for now.
I mean, not only that, but like you had Savage. Obviously, he turns around, hits Hogan with the title, but the thing that makes him really like dastardly heel, especially in this age as well, is he grabs Miss Elizabeth and throws her to the floor as well.
Oh yeah, he was.
And that's big times. I mean, I don't think a woman had ever been like handled like that on.
No, it
wrestling,
really
in wrestling for sure.
And I mean that was, and because of how quote unquote real finger quotes real, they wanted to make it seem like that it really made him even more of a heel because now he's treating Elizabeth, she's treating Elizabeth even poorly.
Yeah.
Physically and mentally and emotionally.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like. Yeah, you couldn't do an angle that devious nowadays. It just wouldn't be. I mean, it just would be too.
Well, for sure, but you couldn't do it now, and I feel like at the time you couldn't really do it then. But
you
they
couldn't
just
do it
went
then.
for it. Yeah.
So, but they had to show that he was completely unhinged.
Exactly.
Like
exactly.
And what more way? I mean, he blew. It was heartbreaking. It was confusing. It was, it forced me as a child to like, it was like a first existential crisis of like, what the fuck is going on here? Why is this happening? Why is this going on? How did it get like this?
It's like watching like two of your friends like have an argument and you're like, but you're both my friends. Like,
yeah, I like you, but how am I supposed to, I don't understand how to,
exactly.
I can't like Randy Savage anymore. Like this doesn't make sense. All right, so yeah, we can unpack that. We could go into deep dives.
But that
anybody that wants to deep dive into our childhood emotional trauma played out in WWE programming, sound off in the comments and we'll.
All right,
moving on. That is definitely up there on the top though.
That's right now. That is on
go
number
watch
one spot,
it, yeah.
For sure.
We don't need to go into too much on all of these. We could just with the dates, you guys can, anybody watching can go back and find these. We recommend you go back and find all of these.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah. Chris, give me your next.
Right, my next
give
one.
me your next pick.
Is going to be again similar. I'm going to bounce it off of yours. So in 1980, how old were you in 1989?
In 1989,
at the time of the Mega Powers exploding.
Oh, that was I would have been 11, going on 12 years old.
Cool.
Yeah,
let's speed forward to December 12th, 1999. Armageddon. And
also my birthday.
There we go. Wait, hold on. Oh wow, really?
No,
wait. Oh wait, sorry, I got so confused.
Every day is my birthday.
December 12th, 1999, Armageddon, and I was 10 years old at this time. Now, as you say, like, the Mega Powers exploding was a formative thing for you. Up until 1999, I'd been watching wrestling since about 1996, when I was about 7 years old, and obviously things were a bit hazy when I was like 7, but like by the time I was 8, 9, you start to really vividly remember stuff. And by 99's around, I can vividly remember so much. I mean, about wrestling at that time, especially of how polarizing it all was to watch. It was like every week was insane. So that end of the 90s and early 2000s. It was. Yeah. So. I mean, at the time, I used to watch Raw with my dad every single week, and at a very weird time to be watching wrestling with your dad, but here I was.
Yeah.
But I remember you know what? One of my fondest memories of watching wrestling with my dad was watching the Stephanie McMahon Test wedding, because I remember it so vividly. We're talking about 25 years ago at this point, but I vividly remember watching that wedding with my dad, and then Triple H coming out and showing that he had got married, like basically got Stephanie drunk and married her in secret. And
it was so terrible.
Yeah, I was 10, so bad. I was 10.
Like,
my dad was whatever age he was at the time, but we were both, lack of a better term, marking out. We were like, "This is crazy! Like, this is no way is this happening.
This is insane."
So obviously that led to Vince versus Triple H in the main event, and we had Stephanie McMahon sitting in the front row to spectate her dad take down the horrible piece of shit that was Triple H at the time. And they had what I feel like was a really good Falls Count Anywhere match. By the way, when I was a kid, Falls Count Anywhere matches were very, very rare. They still are, but like, I remember this going, whoa, like, you can pin them anywhere?
That is great point. That is very true. Falls Count Anywhere is probably one of the least used gimmick matches in WWE.
I think they're so good.
And
like, they're so good because you can there's limited possibilities to what you can do with them.
There is, but I'll bet you if I had to just make a wild guess, it would probably because of their use of the hard cameras.
Yeah.
It probably makes for a more difficult time to get their good camera work, and maybe they just don't like. I don't know, but it's very it's interesting that you mentioned that because it is very seldom used.
It's funny. So right before this was there was the Hardcore Championship, right, and that obviously, I mean, we saw matches end in the Mississippi River kind of thing,
like,
legitimately. But they were hardcore matches. But as a kid, I remember hearing the words "Falls Count Anywhere," and my mind went, "Anywhere?
Anywhere?
Really?
Yeah, that's exactly the response you're supposed to get.
Yeah, exactly.
Anywhere? Like on the floor? You mean like on the ramp?
Yeah, exactly.
You mean like it could happen backstage?
Yeah.
Like you pin them on chairs anywhere,
like anywhere. So
because immediately your mind goes everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought this was a great match. Like, just get into the match real quick. Awesome match. They go out to the parking lot. Triple H tries to run over Vince in a car. They climb the Titantron. Fucking Vince McMahon is like 55 years old and like falls like 20 foot backwards into the bed of a truck. Like, I mean, come on, what is going on?
Whatever.
Say what you want about him now, like the guy.
Yeah, everyone has opinions on people personally, and you all can have that, but you can't say that he wasn't willing to put his own body on the line for all of those things.
A little bit,
that was
right?
Definitely a thing that he did.
So, So anyway, getting to the actual heel turn, Stephanie's in the front row with purpose of watching her dad beat Triple H, and by this point, Vince McMahon is a bloody mess, like blood everywhere, as in classic Vince fashion. When that man bladed, boy did he fucking blade.
Oh, he went all the way.
Yeah.
That's what, again, if you're gonna bleed, if Vince McMahon is gonna bleed, Vince McMahon is gonna bleed a lot.
Yeah. He's pissing blood everywhere.
Yeah.
And then Triple H is holding up a sledgehammer. And by the way, this was the very early days of Triple H using the sledgehammer. It was quite a new thing for him at the time. Brings out the sledgehammer, and he's raised it over his head, ready to hit Vince. And Stephanie gets in the ring, and she's begging Triple H not to do it. And behind her is Vince McMahon on his knees, like basically waiting to receive the shot. And then Stephanie just smiles, turns around, and kicks Vince McMahon in the nuts.
Square in the balls.
It was and as a kid, it blew my mind because I was just like, there's no way that she's after everything that's happened with her and Triple H and DX and the McMahon family and Test and everything she said up until this point. There's no way that she's doing this, but here she was turning on her dad. And it, by the way, was the very start of the heel version of Stephanie McMahon, which is something we hadn't seen before this time.
That is exactly. You never saw it coming. She had, up until that point, she was Daddy's little girl, the Princess Stephanie. Like she was. I mean, she had been abducted and had to be saved before. Like she was only ever in a role of for lack of a better term, the damsel in distress, you know. She was a stereotypical, young woman in distress because, and this was her turn of, no, not only, I'm a badass, I am independent, I am my own person, and guess what? I screwed you over. Triple H didn't screw you over. I screwed you over. Probably because of all of the fucking trauma that you put me through. With the goddamn Undertaker angle.
Well, if I remember correctly, I do think in the promo following that on Raw, she did bring that up. She did bring up that. Oh yeah. With all the stuff that. With the Undertaker and stuff, it's like, you put me through so much damn trauma. What the hell did you think I was going to do?
Yeah, it was beautiful because, again, it wasn't an angle that was never planned.
No.
Before that, but it's just one of those things that WWE gets to do because they have such good hooks that they can just, when Stephanie inevitably turns on her dad, here's another piece along that trail.
Yeah.
And when the time is right, here's all the ammunition. Like, Vince McMahon has said it himself in interviews time and time again. All the shit that he does, it always comes back to it. Every shitty thing he's ever done has come back to bite him in the ass. His character.
Yeah.
His character. Anyway, checks all the boxes of a beautiful heel turn.
That's right.
It's exceptional, like you said, in a different way too, because Stephanie was an on-air talent.
Yeah.
Again, she was not a wrestler at the time.
Exactly, on-air talent, but she was like used as more of a pawn than she was anything else.
She was a.
But this made her
piece of someone else's story.
This made her for forever. From this point forward, she was then like, she is who she is today. This made her who she is today.
Yeah, I mean, just in the same way that. We'll get to another one. She definitely takes after her father.
Yeah. So where are we putting this? This is the first time where I'm a little.
Well, this one's tough too, because this is the first one where, I mean, Stephanie was a face, but this kind of goes under the category of she's a heel. This is her becoming heel.
This is her becoming a heel or a face. She chose her side.
Heel,
kind of thing.
Becoming a heel, becoming a heel against her father.
Yeah.
Shedding off her previous persona.
Yeah.
So, in respects to what it meant for the storyline, I think it definitely it changed things for all of the story going forward, because this, like I said, this was the beginning of Stephanie Helmsley McMahon era.
Yeah.
So it's gotta be up there. It's got to be at least this was a change, not just in character, but in the tone of the shows too. This changed a lot of storylines.
It changed a lot of things big time.
I would put it above NXT.
I was going to say. Sammy. But yeah, between Savage and Hogan and KO and Sammy, because that's exactly
it's still it's still very personal. these are all very personal, but it's Steph against Vince was the creation of something huge.
Yeah.
KO and Sammy was introducing KO as the heel.
That's right. Yeah.
And it becoming the show about them. But
but Savage Hogan was. I mean, they were both the biggest thing at the time, and
Savage Hogan
it doesn't get bigger really.
Yeah, and Savage Hogan was they were doing things. They were breaking barriers of what they were doing at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
That changed their entire industry.
Yeah,
that changed the Savage Hogan turn and how they filmed it. Changed the way WWE did filmed things.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to beat. It's really going to be hard to beat.
It is. Yeah. Let's see what happens.
But we'll see what happens.
Right, your turn.
That was your pick. So I guess I'll. Let's keep. You know what? Let's keep it old school for me. Let's get because again, I think these have to be talked about as huge events in the history, and that's January 12th, 1992.
Okay.
On an episode of The Barber Shop.
On an episode of the Wrestling Challenge.
On Wrestling Challenge at the Barber Shop. We don't have to go again. We don't go into all this. Shawn Michaels super kicking Marty Jannetty through the barbershop window is iconic. It is you anytime you talk about iconic things in wrestling, this is in the conversation.
Yeah.
Like the birth of Shawn Michaels as a singles star and what Shawn Michaels became to the professional wrestling.
Yeah.
This is the heel turn that started it all.
It's what kicked it all off. Yeah, it really is.
And where do you everything this could be an episode in and of itself, and there have been many of other people have talked about this,
it is definitely like one of the most iconic heel turns of all time. It's one that gets repeated and shown. A clip gets shown of it all the time. Because it's the moment that Shawn Michaels became the Shawn Michaels that we know now. While the same could be said for the last heel turn with Stephanie, obviously this one holds a lot more significance in who Shawn Michaels is.
Yeah, and this, I think it started a new era as well. Because,
the new generation era. As they called it.
This was still Hulk Hogan was still very much wrestling in WWE
in
right
92,
now. And I think because how impactful this was, because this was also the first turn of a tag team. The things before, when Andre turned on Hogan. Let's definitely not, and we'll just say this: the only reason Andre turning on Hogan is not in our list of our top 10 is because neither one of us saw it happen.
Yeah, we've seen it. We've watched it, but we've never seen.
Yeah, we've watched it, but it didn't. We didn't see it happen when it happened.
We didn't know the significance of it. We can never feel the significance of it because we weren't alive to watch it.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard for it. What was the one Savage turning on Hogan was just at the start of when I knew when I was watching it, weekly.
Exactly right. Yeah.
So anyway, but we wanted to make sure that we note that the Andre turn on Hogan is iconic. Is if you're talking about top 10 of all time, that's in there definitively. But,
sure. Yeah.
But we didn't witness it, so it's not in this list.
There you go.
This is iconic to us because we felt it. Back to Michaels and Marty again. This was. I saw it within the span of whenever the week or so that it happened.
Right.
And it was just another one of the. It was shocking. It was shocking to me because I just didn't see it coming. Now this one I didn't see coming because I didn't. They I'm sure they teased it as they did anything else they were doing at the time, but I didn't notice it as much because you don't. Yeah, I knew who the Rockers were, and I liked them. They were cool. They were flashy. They came out and they bopped around, and they had the tassels, and they were colorful, and the moves were, the Rocker Dropper. I think that was one of their moves. I hope that's one of them. I might have just made that up. It sounds like something that I remember. I got a quick, Chris, tell me if I just made that up or if it's real.
No, I think that's real. I mean, the way
I haven't heard it in so long.
It's like, I think they had their issues with each other. I can't remember exactly what the issue, but they're having issues between each other, and then basically on the barbershop they basically resolved their issues, and if you remember, Shawn Michaels raises Marty Jannetty's arm, and you perceive it to be like, okay, everything's okay now.
Yeah.
And then he just lets go and super kicks him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and it was the Rocker Dropper. I was just having one of those momentary.
Oh right, yeah.
We're recording. This is and I'm, yeah. I was questioning my own memory. Anyway, again, it made me take notice. It made me take notice of Shawn Michaels and what was going on, because I just saw them as a tag team. They just were doing their thing, and they were a side. They were a secondary thought as a tag team.
Yeah.
To me as a kid at that time. But when he super kicked Marty through the window, I'm like, again, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What's going on?
The crazier thing is that these two they'd been a tag team since 1985. They've been a tag team for 7 years by this point. And like, this is like, as you say, I'm really trying to think. I'm not saying I'm a wrestling historian or anything, but this is definitely one of the. This is like a tag team. I mean, when you say tag teams, I mean like a tag team.
Yeah.
These guys have been together for 7 years. We're talking
It was the era of tag teams or tag teams.
Yeah. That's right.
Tag teams are tag teams. That's what they do. They don't do anything else. They
tag and
matches.
That's it. Yeah.
You have a 6-man. You get a tag team and a third person to make a 6-man tag when you need to.
Exactly.
But, yeah. So,
and I do enjoy touching on the modern day real quickly that. I feel like we're getting into that zone again. There's a lot of tag teams around at the moment that have been together for a long, long time, and I love that.
I think there's a space for it. There is. It's definitely carving out its own space again.
Yeah, for real.
And it's becoming more. It's becoming more important. The things that tag teams are doing as tag teams are more important than they were. It goes through these cycles, and and everybody has their opinions on them, and. But we're seeing a little cycle of tag teams being hotter again, and I love it. I've grown to appreciate tag teams that grow from singles wrestlers to singles wrestlers. The Sheamus and Cesaro tag team that formed was brilliant. That was they were great. But that's a whole other episode. We're gonna do
exactly. Yeah. All right. So where are we putting this?
Yeah, where are we putting this? This again. This was another one of those. It is iconic. It solidified the start of a megastar. And it's still talked about as one of the most iconic moments.
Yeah, this is Shawn Michaels. Kevin Owens' moment was essentially his Shawn Michaels moment, really. If you know what I mean. So it's gonna either go above Savage Hogan or just below Savage Hogan, and I can't decide.
I see. Weirdly. It would have to go below for me. Have to go below for me because the one kicker with Savage and Hogan is it changed the camera work changed the way things were done.
Yeah.
And that has a little bit of a gold star there that makes it really hard for me to put this above it because it was impactful. It's iconic, it's memorable, but it's not Savage turning on Hogan and hitting him with the belt. Like it's just not.
It's not. All right.
Michaels and Marty Jannetty is just not Savage and Hogan.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
It's hard.
I'm happy with that.
I'll be honest. It's hard for me. I would have put it below Steph and Vince. I would put it
below Steph and Vince.
I would put it below Steph and Vince because while it did a lot for Shawn, it allowed Shawn Michaels to break out and become what he was and change the industry. But it didn't change as immediately as the change of
Stephanie. Yeah, you're right.
Stephanie aligning with Triple H and the change that made.
Well,
it's hard for me.
It had a lot of change in storylines, and the fact, basically, them working together on this storyline caused them to get together in real life. This is
still just interpersonal. This is still just Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. It has nothing to do with anybody else or anything else. I put it below, man. I like, unless you try.
I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that.
I'm putting it below Steph on Vince. Yeah.
All right. Yep. Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are 5 into this.
We are 6 into this.
6?
We are 5 into this. I have an extra. I was counting an empty space that I just moved.
All right, cool. Okay, so
this is the 6th.
Right, this is the 6th. Right. So now that we're 5 through this, we have basically to pull the curtain back a little bit. We have the 10, but we're deciding that the order of the 10. But we have this one that I guess should be brought up now because we're in the middle of all this. So we're going to decide whether this fits into the 10 or whether it doesn't.
I think this is a good time. Halfway through is a good time to talk about this.
So
because it warrants its own discussion.
It does,
and we might talk our way through figuring out where it is.
Where it is, yeah, and
hopefully wherever it lands is highly contentious for whomever is listening.
Yeah, exactly. So this either ends up in our list or it might not, but we'll find out.
This is a weird 11th man on the top 10 list.
Right, exactly. So
should we say it together? Should we? Oh wait, no, we don't say dates the same way.
I'll go for it.
Go for it.
It's
November
9th, 1997. If you're a wrestling fan, you already know what that means. It's the Montreal Screwjob Survivor Series. Now, why? You're thinking,
best
well,
work ever.
You know, who turned heel? Well, let's think about it for a second. No one really turned heel. Someone became a heel because that day, Vince McMahon became an on-screen talent. Before that day, he was nothing more than a commentator or a backstage interviewer. And in that moment, on television, on that pay-per-view, everyone was like, Vince McMahon is the owner of the company, and he's making himself like that's what he's presenting himself as now.
Yeah.
And it's clear that he came out, he's the guy that signaled for the bell. The crowd hated him, turned on him, booed him. That was the moment that he went from Vince McMahon to, as we know, Mr. McMahon, as the maniacal, evil old man that is Mr. McMahon. So,
and it was something that, I mean, it's been, again, this is one of those iconic moments that has been widely discussed at length by people with more experience than just two punks who talk about it. But it was so jaw-dropping because, one, you and I both said this to each other, but other people might not know. We're not dirt sheet people. We're not. I don't pay attention to when contracts expire. I watch the televised product, and if they tell me to go to watch an exclusive video online or something, like I'll follow some wrestlers online, but I don't get into the backstage drama or the interpersonal drama or the whose contracts are expiring. So why this storyline is obviously because they're blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, I watch the product and I enjoy the show for what it is. I enjoy not knowing what's going on to a certain degree.
That's right. And I'm exactly the same. People might ask, why do you do that? Well, it's because I don't want to know what's happening next. And if someone's contract's coming up then I know that they're likely going to lose this rivalry. But if I know that their contract's not coming up, then I don't know that they're going to lose. I'll just be surprised.
It doesn't add a weird question or a weird doubt. It just allows me to enjoy it as it's being displayed.
Exactly.
We can go back and talk. We can go back at it, and
that's a whole other thing. Yeah.
But in the moment, I continue to watch wrestling as an adult the same way that I watched wrestling as a child.
Exactly.
With jaws dropped and eyes glued open.
And you know what? I think that's why
watching to be entertained.
I think that's why me and you, I feel like we enjoy wrestling still to this day as if we were kids in a way, because we have not succumbed to that very modern day of watching wrestling. I feel like you know what? If this podcast does anything at all, I want it to just turn people off from digesting wrestling in the way that the modern world kind of makes them in a sense of dirt sheets, and because that way I just want people to enjoy wrestling like the way we used to as kids, because we all go, it was so much better when I was a kid. It was like, well, because you weren't savvy to so much stuff. So
you're ruining it for yourself.
Yeah.
When you rip apart every little thing. This we might as well put a little manifest or whatever you call it, our what we are and who we are as a podcast is exactly that. It's like, we're not gonna. I hope that people who listen to this are either wrestling fans that just enjoy other people's takes and what other people are interested in, or people that just want to get into it or want to get into some other old stuff. I don't know. But the whole purpose of us doing this together is just so that we can really share it with each other and rekindle that joy that we both have as wrestling fans. We're doing it for ourselves. We're doing this solely so Chris and CJ, Chris, we'll get all so that we can enjoy this ourselves.
Yeah, that's right.
And hopefully other people who stumble upon it will get something out of it too. But it's really, we look at the positives of all this stuff as much as possible. And for as crazy and as much as the Montreal Screwjob, I'm sure, was very much a difficult thing for a lot of the people dealing with it. Take whatever side you want to have on it. Look at it from all perspectives. It certainly had to have been a difficult time, because these are these people's livelihoods. This is This is what they do, and it's really insane to think about it. But from a standpoint of a spectator, that was one of the craziest things that ever. That was one of the most professional wrestling things that happened in professional wrestling.
There's nothing that can be compared to it. Nothing ever can be compared to it.
It is one of the most iconic things that happened, and therefore, and nobody lost anything from that. Feelings might have been hurt.
Yeah.
Sure. There might have been all of the things that happened, and I will go on record, and it doesn't matter what anyone ever says. Bret Hart and Vince McMahon and Shawn Michaels could sit me down and look me dead in the eye and have a polygraph on them and tell me that it wasn't all a work. But there was so much work. In my mind, it was still, there is a part of me that will always believe a lot of it was whether it was real or not, whether it was a work or whether it was a shoot, it doesn't matter, because I didn't know.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I still don't know. I still don't know. That's
the beauty of it.
If years later, there is, this is 25 years later.
It could well be one of the wrestling's best kept secrets.
There's no, because there's no way, no one can prove. You can't prove to me that it wasn't all work, and you can't prove to me that it was all a shoot.
And
there's no way to prove any of it.
It's such higher management stuff that this
Bret Hart himself
Yeah, it's just so there's no way of telling the full.
And I wouldn't believe
story.
him. I can't believe it. That is at the Montreal Screwjob for me is at the core one of the most sacred pieces of wrestling lore.
Yeah, it is.
And
it really
and in
is.
in my world, there's nothing. It is the most unknown thing, because there really may only be two people in this world who know for sure.
Yeah.
And neither one, and it doesn't matter what either one of them says, because the fact that not knowing for certain, the fact that I can't believe any of it, is what makes is at essence what professional wrestling is for me.
All right,
so with that being said, where the fuck does that sit?
All right,
is it a heel turn?
Let me tell you something. It is a heel turn. You just worked me into a shoot yourself because because
I made you believe.
You did. I was hitting here, listening to you talk about.
I made you question everything.
Yeah, and now I'm sitting here going, man, you're right. When you said it's part of, it's like one of the biggest parts of wrestling lore, I'm like, you're fucking right. Like, there's nothing like this in any other form of entertainment. Tell me I'm wrong. Like, there's nothing like this has happened in anywhere else, and it's just so iconic that it's just like, is it a heel turn? Yeah, because it created the right. This is a whole nother discussion.
God tier healed.
It created one of the best heels that the industry has ever seen. Again, say what you want about Vince McMahon as a person, but for real, he doesn't get more heelish than Vince McMahon or Mr. McMahon. Like, he is the god tier, the heel of the heels. He's the kind of guy that would come out to confront another heel and cause the other heel to get cheered because Vince is there.
Oh, as the ultimate mega heel because it's something. It is a puppet master-ish, like when the person who owns the company is injecting himself. He's playing, he played God in his own kingdom.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's so infuriating.
Yeah.
And it works you up so much because what part of it, what even is real? What part of it is real? Once there was a certain point, and kayfabe is broke to a degree, but there is still this certain point, and I love that it has begun. It's the resurgence that we talked about. Again, totally tangent topic, but this is what we do here at Punk Talk Wrestling. We talk about wrestling. and sometimes we talk about things that aren't even what we were supposed to be talking about, but it's still wrestling. It created something that had never existed before, and that was the idea that, wait, we know he's the owner. We know he owns the company. We know the person owns this company, but now this person is a person on the TV with characters, but we know those characters are real people with different.
It set up a dynamic.
It began. It was the first melding of the meshing between the real world and the WWE universe. Like,
that's right.
That was the creation. I think the Montreal Screwjob. You could say this. This was the creation of the WWE universe.
Yeah, I guess
Vince
so.
McMahon.
Yeah, because it's a crossing over between what is real life in the fact that he does own the company, but the fact that it's almost like the owner of
Ted Turner was never on WCW.
But I'm thinking of in movies, I don't know, the guy who owns Paramount, for example, getting involved in all the movies he runs.
Right. It would be exactly. It would be the it would be the CEO of Disney.
Right. Yeah.
Injecting himself into every Disney
film.
The highest growth. Yeah. Yeah. That's
it
doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense
for anything else in this world except for professional wrestling.
Yeah,
the anomaly of the professional wrestling existing in this world is something in and of itself.
So
where does this live?
That's why this is why this is in the list now. I've decided, and this is why I've decided it's in the top of the list.
It has to be. It has to, if it's in the list, it has to be at the top of the list.
Because it doesn't get much bigger than that. I'm sorry, but I don't think it does.
It has to be. Yeah. It's going to be so I guess what's going to happen is once we get our list, it's either going to be a top 10 plus one or we're going to
Well, I think we're going to have to kick out the bottom one basically.
We just kick it. Yeah, we just kick them out.
Yeah.
You know, we'll whoever winds up at the bottom will be, you know, thanked for all the all the great stories.
Best of luck on your future endeavors.
Best of luck on your future storylines. Yeah.
All right, it's on top.
Let's put them up there. Let's put it up
Boom.
there. Let whatever, you know, anyone that doesn't want to agree with it can disagree with us in the comments.
That's
but
right.
it's up there for now, and I can tell you, I don't think anything's getting it out of it because it checks all the boxes. Like you said, it checks all the boxes. It instantly everyone hates him.
Yeah.
Check. You know he's a heel. Check. It broke something of the. It changed the foundation of the industry.
It changed
more than anything.
It literally didn't only change the WWE. It changed WCW.
If anything, it made it more apparent because, again, going back to this time period, me not knowing things. I had no idea Brett's contract was up. I had no idea Brett was going to WCW.
And not only that,
as a person watching this, didn't have any clue what was going on. And when Brett did a WCW sign, I was like, wait, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Is he going to WCW?
Oh,
like,
God, it's so good.
That was it. That was it for me. So it's like, how is this not all a huge war? Like, for him, for all of the things. Anyway, it's
but the thing is,
because
for me,
that's the other qualification for it to be a heel turn. It has to be a work.
Think about this though. I was an 8-year-old when this happened, but I was watching, and I do remember this pay-per-view, right? And I don't know if I watched it at the time, but I must have watched it around the time, maybe the start of '98 potentially. It was a lot harder to watch wrestling in the UK than it was in the States.
Certainly. Well, also because it was still also coming on. Yeah, live. It was still coming on.
Yeah, watching Raw was easy and kind of easy, but watching a pay-per-view was fucking difficult. Anyway, like I, as an 8-year-old, had no idea that Vince McMahon owned the company. Why the fuck would I? I didn't have Wikipedia. I didn't have WWE's corporate website page of employees. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I was 8 years old. I thought Vince McMahon, from anything I've watched in the past, was a commentator. So
me too.
At this point, I'm just like an 8-year-old. Plus, I don't know what contracts mean. I don't know if people are signing contracts with companies. I was an 8-year-old. I thought this was all real. So when he came out and did that, I was just like, my whole world was blown to pieces because I'm like, but you're a commentator. What does that mean?
Yeah, exactly. There were so many things that didn't make sense.
So many questions.
So many things that were just this is insane. This was also back at the time when Survivor Series, they were holding Survivor Series on Thanksgiving night. On the Thursdays of American Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So, you know, I know there's a lot of people that in the previous years of this time, you know, the post 2000s where people were they were very vocal about, you know, chastising WWE for working on certain holidays. I'm like, hey man, they've still gotten way better than they were before. Anyway, that's a caveat that has nothing to do with any of this. It's up there. It's up there.
It's up there.
Man,
Number
where
one.
do we go? All right. Well, I guess
it's your pick.
We're just gonna I guess we're gonna go to flesh out where the rest fall here. Well, there's a number of a couple of these other ones that I think I'll leave those to you to figure out because they were your picks. They were your independent picks. So I'm gonna go to something that's a little more recent. Let's put up talking about teams turning on each other. We'll go back to that because it had been a while at that time since we saw a nice team turn. This one though, it wasn't just a tag team. This was June 2nd, 2014 on Monday Night Raw when Seth Rollins turns his back on the Shield and joins up with I guess that was when he joined Triple H.
He joined the Authority, yeah.
The Authority, yes. Yeah. This one was so sweet, so like so. It took until the split second before it happened for you to even realize anything else was happening.
Yeah.
Like Triple H and Orton coming out, and I guess whoever else was with him at the time, you know, they gave the whole kind of fake out of like, yeah, we lost, but you know Triple H
the deal
was
is
in the role of the Authority.
You had because it was Evolution. It was Batista, Randy, and Triple H in a rivalry with the Shield, and the Shield had come out on top. Batista or Blue Tista
yeah, they had
at
just
the
beaten
time.
them the night before.
Yeah, he did his good wave goodbye, and he went off, and they come out, and then Triple H essentially was like, "There's always a plan B."
Yes,
and he was looking at his sledgehammer, and I think everyone was thinking, "Oh, he means Plan B. The sledgehammer's Plan B." And then,
but when you and if I'm remembering correctly on TV, as soon as he was doing that, you notice there's like a split second where when the camera pans back to the ring, when it pans away from the Shield in the ring to Triple H at ringside, all three of the Shield are lined up together.
Yeah.
It pans back to the ring, and the first thing you see, you see the first two. You see Ambrose and
Reigns,
Roman,
they've walked forward,
and you don't see Seth, and it's like a slow instant reveal of the first moment. And this goes back to the production, the WWE production value. Fucking brilliant when it comes to that.
There's one moment in the heel turn which it literally makes the hairs on my arms stand up when I watch it.
Stand up right now. Just talk.
Yeah, exactly. But there's this moment that right before Seth is about to hit Roman in the back with that chair, there's one fan in the crowd that literally it screams like a guttural no, like he's like he's like no, like you, like literally a no of like disbelief, like
they saw it coming. Somebody saw it coming and were loud enough to get the scream picked up, probably from the commentators.
Yeah, just screaming no, like you can't do this, and it turns in his brothers in the Shield.
Yeah,
I mean it's for sure one of my. It's. I mean, it wouldn't be in the list with that if it wasn't, but it really is one of my favorite of the modern era. Not much tops it, really, if I'm honest with you. It's just executed so perfectly. You didn't see it coming.
You didn't see it coming. It hurt. It
hurt
so bad.
And it did. This one actually did hurt. Yeah.
And oh yeah, dude. Just talking about it again is because it was just a perfect time. It was a perfect time to for something like that to happen.
The Shield had done it all by this point, besides win world titles, really.
Right? Yeah.
And
exactly.
It was time for them to split off. Yeah.
And they broke it. They never went back to. I mean, they went back to the Shield a few times randomly.
Yeah.
For things, but they never went back for a full run, and they never drew it out, which is really nice, because it. We'll talk about this more. We'll talk about this more. We talked about this. We're taping these episodes in reverse. So we talked about this in our last episode. We'll get to it when we record this episode. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
But this has to do with a match, the payback match with Jericho and Ambrose.
Yeah, exactly.
Payback 2016.
Yeah.
That we talked about last week.
Yeah.
God, this is gonna be interesting. Checks the boxes of you never saw it, you just never saw it coming at all.
No.
It changed the landscape of all sorts of title pictures. It forced it wasn't just for the first. I mean, that's the first time I know of a stable completely imploding in that way. Like,
yeah.
It was now there are three singles stars.
There was a moment there where obviously Ambrose and Roman were like, I don't know, there was a few weeks where they were kind of together, but they kind of tailed off, and Yeah, they did their own thing, but it is just, yeah. I mean, it is one of those. I love the Shield. I think we all can say we all love the Shield.
Absolutely,
and to see that end,
that era, and
we
and
love
again, what has become of them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Jesus, like all three of them have made something, how. Well, one of them's a household name at this point.
Well,
really.
yeah, exactly. That's one of them is a multi-time champion with the going on to beat Hulk Hogan's title reign.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just wild. But we all love the Shield. We all love that era, and it was like in a time where a lot of people criticized, the WWE for a while. Like it was something that brought a lot of people back to watching wrestling.
It brought a lot of attention. Yeah, it made a lot of noise.
Yeah,
because they were high profile at the time. They had already, Ambrose had won the U.S. title. Reigns and Rollins were tag champions together. Right?
Yeah,
that was how it was split up.
That's how it split up. Yeah.
I think there weren't any other titles. I don't know if there was any other. Anyway, they had established themselves as title holders in the Shield for a time.
Yeah.
But yeah, they definitely all needed their own singles run. I don't know how where does it rank though?
That's a hard one.
I would, because it created more superstars and was impactful in a way. I would put that above Michaels and Marty Jannetty, even though that was like iconic in the way of like that was the first and most brutal friendship breakup. I think the breakup of the Shield did more.
It did more. I think it goes above Stephanie and Vince as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it created 3 main event superstars.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, I give you that.
But we still saying below Savage and Hogan.
Below Savage and Hogan. Yeah, it's definitely below Savage Hogan.
All right, cool. I'm comfortable with that.
I'm comfortable with that, with them just eking out Steph and Vince.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Next one on the list. Where are we going?
Oh boy! So what are we left with?
We've got 4 left.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh right, because our list is now right. We got 4 left to then eliminate 1.
I'm gonna go with the very most recent one on our list, and that is Dominic Mysterio turning on his dad Rey Mysterio at Clash of the Castle, September 2nd, 2022.
And this and let's not gloss over what makes this one on our list the most exceptional on our list.
What's that?
That
what?
It was the only one. It was. I was hoping you. I was trying to will you to get what I was thinking.
No, it didn't happen.
Speaking of nothing happened. No, it's the only one that it was the only one that either of us were there to witness live.
Oh right, yeah, that was the thing.
You were there live. You were there
live.
in the arena when it happened.
So yeah, I was in the Principality Stadium when it happened. Believe you me, that the crowd reaction when that happened was wild, as you could probably expect. Like, we all knew leading up to it that like there was a rift between Dominic and Edge, like, but because it was going to be Dominic and Ray versus the Judgment Day.
Yup.
But it ended up Edge kind of teaming with Ray, and Dominic was like, "Do you not trust me?" kind of thing.
Oh, it's so brilliantly done.
And then so obviously live in the arena, in the stadium, he low blows Edge.
Yeah.
And then he clotheslines his dad.
And it was so, which from a billing and a booking standpoint, what a genius like way of just tying bows together.
Yeah.
Like tying that all together to get the story from Ray and Dom coming in, and the father and son, first ever father and son tag team.
Yeah.
Amazing. Like, I mean, that brought tears to my eye as someone whose father took him to see wrestling and has taken my son to see wrestling.
Yeah.
That's amazing. It was heartwarming to see, but at the same time, I fucking hated Dom as a face. He fucking hated him. It's terrible. Yeah. But obviously at this time, like at some point, I think that was by design. Like they knew that was coming. They knew they were going to go this route at some point. So they made Dom even more annoying in a way.
Yeah.
And then the screw starts. Because then you get this the father son issues that there's no other people can tell this story.
Yeah.
Except them. No, there is no other option for a story like this. So it's such a unique story to tell. The tying it in with the Judgment Day and Edge, Edge's creation of the Judgment Day, and then him being summarily thrown out.
Yeah. There's a little thing about this heel turn which I don't think a lot of people notice, but they're obviously Ray and Dominic had obviously planned this out before, but it's brilliantly done. In 2005, Eddie Guerrero turns on Rey Mysterio, and which is another great heel turn. It's not on our list, but it's a great heel turn. Yeah. But in that heel turn, basically the way Dominic grabs his dad before he clotheslines him, and the way he clotheslines him is exactly the same way that Eddie Guerrero holds Ray and clotheslines Ray. They did exactly the same fashion.
So good, yeah.
Good. So they obviously took a nod to that. Yeah, it's like a little.
I love when they take little something just small like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And just be like, ooh, I'm gonna do the exact same clothesline the exact same way. It was. Yeah. I mean, everything about that was so brilliant.
Yeah,
I need to go back and watch that again because it's
such a good moment. It's a moment that I've not really gone back. I saw it live in the stadium, and I've definitely seen it, but I obviously in my mind when I play back the memory in my head, it's not from a television. It's from being there in the arena, in the stadium.
Yeah.
So the crowd reaction alone was just making my hair stand on end. It's you get you've been there when something like that happens. The electricity in the building is just
it's
something
undeniable.
else.
It becomes like flash memory into your brain.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was burned into you.
Exactly. So it's one of those moments, and look where it's got us now. I mean, that was the moment he joined the Judgment Day as well, and we've now
creation of one of the biggest heels
generated Dirty Dom and the dynamic between him and Rhea and all of the Judgment Day, and being one of the biggest heels, honestly, in the wrestling industry right now.
And it's just so brilliant. All of it's so brilliantly done.
Yeah.
Being that Rey Mysterio's never been a heel.
No.
To my knowledge, he's never been a heel ever.
Yeah.
So of course this is just so turning the knife in the wound for his son to be such a dastardly heel.
Yeah.
And Rhea for her part too, her. Just want a side note. Mention how amazing Rhea Ripley is. She's someone who we can all say, but been a fan since day one.
Oh hell yeah!
This is a megastar. This is someone who gets the business. Her mannerisms, her movements in and out of the ring, the way she interacts with other players, the way she interacts with Dirty Dom, her succubus style, always whispering in his ears, always just slinking around, and it's one of those, and it's one of those funny things because it's a little there, the role reversals in a way. She's playing off of she's reversing the role of the chicken shit heel who would pull the valet in front of it, when Fandango would pull Summer Rae in front of him. And the idea being, oh, you're not gonna hit, you're not gonna hit a woman, you're big guy against a definitively smaller woman comparatively,
right? Exactly.
When you're talking about people like Braun Strowman against, it's but Rhea Ripley turns that the two of them turn
There's
that chicken
plenty
shit
of-
heel
there's- yeah,
around,
for
and it's
sure.
like no, I'm imposing myself, and I'm telling you, do something about it.
Yeah,
Do
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I'm
Watch what
telling you,
happens.
go and try to hit me.
Yeah.
See what happens because she's going to stand her own. I've said it years ago. You can check my the posts in other groups. I've said it. Rhea Ripley is going to be put the universal title. Well, the universal title isn't really a thing right now, but I had her pegged as the first female universal title holder.
I definitely see her
universal champion.
She will follow in the footsteps of China. That's definitely the kind of way they're going with her. There's plenty of guys on the roster that she can have believable matches against. And I could definitely see her winning something along at this point in time anyway, like the Intercontinental title or the US title or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a very difficult, again, people have different opinions on how to do those types of things. Intergender matches are a thing that you have to. It's a more complicated story that you need to be telling there.
Yeah, for sure.
At times, and because of WWE being how they are, I understand why they shy away from it. It's not. I've seen. There are tons of women on the roster right now who have had amazing intergender matches. And have held their own, and we've seen tons of them, and they're great. But the WWE fan base and all of that is, I think there needs to be because it needs to be very important. It should be very important. I feel, and so it should be something that's done very infrequent.
That's right.
To make it as important as it should be.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know that and. Other people can maybe have probably other opinions about that.
I think a great way.
I would love to hear them all in the comments.
I think a great way to test the waters with Rhea. We're way off the subject, but we'll get back to it.
Yeah.
But the good thing with Rhea, a good way to test the waters with Rhea wrestling guys would be to just have her in the Royal Rumble, but not in a way where we have in the past. In the past, we've had women in the Royal Rumble and they're eliminated immediately. We need Rhea in the Rumble, in the men's Rumble, and she lasts for, a good 20 minutes or something before she gets eliminated.
We've had extremely strong women in the men's Rumble. Even, depending on it doesn't matter how you feel about her. Nia Jax,
she was in there, yeah.
Was impressive in the men's Rumble that year as well. Only I think not only person to be in both because Beth Phoenix was in the Royal Rumble.
She was, yeah, but every time it's happened, it's been in a way where they don't get attacked in any way. The only way that all right, Nia Jax got RKO'd, but I don't know. I feel like anyone can get RKO'd, and it just doesn't matter because it's an RKO.
Right, but I think that was the perfect precursor to it. What is the reaction? This they have a plan for Rhea, and it's going to be defeating. Hey man, Rhea Ripley versus Gunther. Give me that.
Jesus.
Give me that. Let's talk. Let's get, when we talk about fantasy booking. Give me Rhea Ripley versus Gunther for the IC title, and now you're talking. We can do that.
I'm into it.
Gunther, I feel like Gunther would be the type of person who would respectfully be able to handle that.
Yeah, I think he would.
Right,
where's this going?
Put this? But the question is, where do we put this? The real question is, where do we put Dom turning on his father in?
So we got some pretty heavy hitters in this lineup here, but I believe, I think it's above Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Actually,
I was gonna put it there. That's exactly it. I wasn't gonna put it above Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
One, because it's still new. It's still current. This is current. This is literally current.
It's not even been a year yet since this happened, but it's been enough time to see where it's gone, and I'm happy with where it's gone.
Yeah,
so.
It's still and there was definitely an air of you didn't really know it was coming. You kind of knew it was coming, but I think a lot of people. I think some people didn't see it coming.
Yeah,
but
It's one of the, it's a beautiful it's one of WWE does this so well. It's like I know it's coming, but I didn't see it coming.
Yeah,
it's that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's the I know it's coming, but I don't know when.
Yeah.
Surprise me on when.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think we both put it exactly in the same spot, so we're gonna leave it there.
Yeah. All right, so who's next would be who just chose the last one? That was you, so I guess I'm going to choose the next one.
Yeah.
I am going to go with NXT TakeOver Chicago, May 20th, 2017. Tommaso Ciampa turning on Johnny Gargano, breaking up DIY, and creating probably the most iconic NXT rivalry there ever has been. Would you agree?
I would agree. I would I would definitely agree that Ciampa versus Gargano, I could watch that forever. I could, if you just gave me a feature length film of everything
that they
every
done.
bit of that, I could watch that every day.
Honestly, yeah, I mean it's one of those storylines that is just it's like the Bloodline storyline before we even knew it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was so well done. It was so brilliantly written and put together, and played over such a long time, because after Ciampa turned on Gargano, he was out with injury for like nearly a year. So
yeah, it was which I'm guessing was obviously not intended.
No, I think he got injured in that ladder match.
He was injured in that match. So, yeah. So what a
in fact that benefited to it. So in fact
it did because it allowed Gargano to have to establish himself on his own.
Yeah.
And with this thing now just hanging over his head.
That's right.
And made his return when he did return. It made that all the more impactful.
That's right.
It dragged out the storyline, which in the end made it so much better, because there was an entire year of seething and no reconciliation of any of it.
Yeah, it was just like it happened, and I can do nothing about it until he's back, basically.
Yeah, I mean, terrible injury, because that was his neck injury, right?
I don't. No, it was his leg. Remember, he came back.
Oh, that was the
with
leg,
a
because he was on crutches. He was on crutches when he came back.
Yeah.
That's right.
But yeah, the way this was done.
No, the neck was that was later. Jeez.
That was later, yeah. But the way that this was done was so beautiful, in the sense that, I don't know if it was at the time that we felt like that they were coming to the end of their NXT run. I think that was the general vibe. They lost the match. They were walking up the aisle, arm in arm. They turn around to look back at the NXT crowd. Normally what happens when people are leaving NXT to go to the main roster.
Yeah.
You get the crest that comes up, the copyright trademark thing in the corner pops up, it fades out, and you're like, cool, end of the pay-per-view. And there's probably tons of people out there that saw that come up and just turned the pay-per-view off, because they were like, cool, well, show's over.
Yeah. And that.
Yeah, go on, sorry.
Oh, no, you get, no.
And that's when Ciampa grabs Gargano and throws him at the Titantron, and it's just wow, what a moment that is.
It was that. Yeah, you brought up a great point. That was that was a time when they were using little tricks to get to work people, to work the audience, the home audience. They were always looking for ways to make those experiences the best possible for each fan in attendance and those watching at home.
Yep.
For the thousands in attendance and millions watching at home.
Yeah.
as they say. And I love that little trick of putting up the copyright, everything, the kicker at the end of the post stinger.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a the fake out, and then it's because that's what they used to do, stuff like that, and they used to just do that off air.
Yeah.
They had done things like that off air, and you just didn't know, and only the people that saw it live knew about it or heard about it later, because that was their they've got to do these things to entice people to go see it live, and they've got to do these things to entice people to watch it from home at the same time. They're a unique business that requires both.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not a unique, but I mean, all major sports are like
Yeah,
that,
yeah, of course, yeah.
But they're unique in the way they go about it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, obviously he attacks him. He pummels him for a bit. Gargano's reaction is his face is so good because he got this look in his face of like, what? How could you? Like, what are you doing? Kind of thing. And
complete.
Ciampa looks just devilish, like he's just lost all like. And there's no. Oh, and he's called the Black Heart, and it really did come across that way in that segment.
Yeah. And I didn't. Now I don't know if he had a history pre NXT.
I don't know. No idea.
Idea. Those were two guys that at the time I was watching NXT, so I knew them I didn't know anything about them pre NXT.
Same. I mean, there's a wrestling company in the UK called Progress Wrestling, and I had seen Ciampa wrestle once at that promotion.
Oh, nice.
God knows against who, I couldn't tell you. And I'd never known of Gargano, so but seeing that one match, I mean, at the time I didn't know who he was, and it was only until he debuted in the WWE, I was like, oh, I remember that guy. I remember seeing him have one match one time, but that's all I ever knew about either of them. But it's up there for sure with the Seth Rollins turn. Not as significant, but for sure the fact that it was a tag team that we'd all come to know and love.
That is the ultimate question now. Where does this lie? See, this is weird to me. This one's weird to me because it was a classic tag team heel turn, completely unexpected. It was out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was really. This one. Checks, of a lot of them on this list was definitely there was literally no tease of it, not one tease. I don't think anyone knew this was coming at all, and I really mean that. It seemed to have shocked everyone.
No one at all. Zero people knew. I would even venture to guess that probably most of the except for whoever wrote the match.
And those two, and Ciampa
whoever was
and Gargano,
involved, like the referee and the ring. Now, I'm sure there was very few people that know about those things. For good reason. But to put it up there, that's tough. Like, I could see it being. It's really tough because it's tough for me because it was a great story. It was brilliantly told. If you love those guys,
this is hard.
But what is it? But what did it do? But what did it do for anything besides them?
Yeah, I feel like we've created a criteria for ourselves, haven't we?
We've created a weird criteria. Yeah. Well, that's an exact. But this is us figuring ourselves out too.
Yeah.
So the fact is, how are we? How does this rank? Do we rank it higher because of the story because we like it? Does it get ranked higher on merit of? What's the merit of this of the heel turn?
In the criteria that we've been going with so far, and what did it cause after the fact? I put it just above Dominic and Mysterio because it's like everything above that is more significant. But at the same time,
these are just personal. These are purely personal things.
Yeah,
they really didn't impact. They haven't impacted much outside of themselves.
No, but at the same time, it led to one of the best storylines in generally in wrestling for the last 10 years for sure. And I mean, everyone's asking. I mean, let's face it, we're going to get DIY back together on Raw, and they're going to end up in a rivalry again. And I cannot wait because we're going to get.
Oh, sure, they're going to do this. They're going to do it all again because it works.
Yeah,
because it's good.
So
you know what? With that in mind, that being said, I do because this is us, and what really matters the most to us is our opinions.
Yeah, pretty much.
So meaningful to and that's it. Really, what it came down to, meaningful to us
I say it goes above Stephanie and Vince.
I agree with that. In that take, it goes above Steph and Vince.
Cool, but below Seth Rollins and the Shield.
It entertained us, and it
Yeah.
changed because those other things. Those other things that we mentioned about how impactful it was changing the industry, the Montreal Screwjob, the Savage Hogan turn. It also changed our perspectives of things.
Yeah.
That's why those are so much more impactful.
That's right.
Because of how they impacted us. Well, this is a toss. So this is tough. We're just getting into the nitty gritty here because we got two heavy hitters.
Well, we got one. I think we got one heavy hitter, but one really freaking dark horse that I don't think a lot of people will know. Like they'll know about it, but they won't remember it. But until you mention it, they go, "Oh yeah, that was really good." I mean, I guess let's do this one next, maybe, because I won't say what it is. I'll let you announce it. But it's definitely one where like you brought this up on the podcast maybe last week, and I was like, "Whoa!" Like that was a cool moment. That really was a cool moment.
Yeah, we do believe that we brought this up before. So yeah, let's get into July 9th, 2001, during the height of the WCW invasion angle on Raw. Midway, this was another one of those times where, looking at it at the time, it was holy shit, what the fuck is happening? Oh god, this is happening.
Yeah.
Oh shit. And then looking back at it later, I was like, oh, the nuances that you pick up and the things that I totally missed watching this live. And I saw this live on Raw at the time. And when WCW, there was a match, it was, I forget who was in the match. It was because there was a tag team. It was a WWE team versus WCW team in a match, and Justin Credible and Tommy Dreamer jumped the barricade and attacked. Maybe it was a singles match. I again can't remember exactly. Two ECW dudes, Tommy Dreamer and Justin Credible, who were not under contract to any of our knowledges at the time, jumped the barricade and attacked the people in the ring. And then what was it? Oh no, it was the tag team. It was a tag team because there was a bunch of dudes that came out after that. Anyway, bottom line is, these dudes from ECW jump the barricade, start attacking WWF, the WWF guys who had just beaten WCW guys for something.
Yeah, and so then, you had you basically had a brawl between the WWF and the WCW guys, right?
Yeah.
Then
two ECW guys jump the ring, and then a bunch of WWE guys come running down the ring to save them. Everybody's going crazy because they see these two ECW guys. Now we're thrown into this mix, and nobody knows what's going on exactly yet. All of a sudden, as you see the guys running down to the ring, first thing I noticed was it's freaking Taz and the Dudley Boys. And I'm starting to, and the moment it's happening, you're kind of like processing in your mind, like you're seeing what's happening. And JR is on commentary with Paul Heyman at the time, on commentary on Raw. And then the pieces start putting together, and you're just when you're seeing something and your eyes are wide, your jaw is slack, and you nothing is processing. You're just taking it in.
Yeah.
And this is how I'm feeling at the time, because it's slow motion, in my head. And all of a sudden, all these WWE guys jump in the ring, make a barricade.
So here's the deal. I literally, just as you've been talking, I found out. So we had Sean Stasiak, Lance Storm, RVD, and Tommy Dreamer coming out. Those are the guys. And then Taz, Rhino, the Dudley Boys, Raven, and Just Incredible all come for the save to save the WWF guys. And they're standing there staring across the ring at all these guys.
Yeah.
And
so
then
the guys...
the guys they're saving is Jericho and Kane. And then all of them turn around.
Yeah.
And it's
all
a case
the ECW
of,
dudes
what?
turn around, and now it's just a beat down of like 12 on. It was like
it is like 12 on 2.
10 on 2.
Yeah.
It was 10 on 2.
Yeah.
It was like 10 on 2.
And then what makes it crazier? So that you had that. Now later on that night, half an hour later into the show, you had a brawl between WCW and WWF. And then through the crowd comes all of these ECW guys from earlier in the night, and they all with Paul Heyman.
Was the setup. This was the setup of that. That was throughout after the ECW guys first invaded. It was Vince calling together WWF, WWE, and WCW to come together and fight five. It was 5 WWF guys and 5 WCW guys.
Yeah.
That was what was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
They go out to the ring together. They immediately get into a fight between the two of them.
Yeah.
The 5-on-5, and then the 10 ECW guys come out. They try to get the WCW guys to get back on the same page with the WWF guys, and then all 15 of them turn on the 5 WWF guys, and they do the exact same thing they did an hour before, and I fucking love it. And this is what we talked about earlier before we started recording.
Yeah.
I love when WWF does it. They do a thing, and then they immediately do the exact same thing. They fucking double down. They double down on it.
Yeah.
Now we all know the invasion angle like kind of fucking sucked overall, but this was the highlight of it. Because it was just a holy shit.
It's so well done. It's so well done. It is that moment of like, you put the pieces all together in your head. You're like, oh shit, they're all ECW guys.
And then to cap off the night, to cap off all of it, you've got 10 ECW guys with Paul Heyman hugging and hanging out in the ring with 5 WCW guys and Shane McMahon, who now owns WCW. They introduced the new owner of ECW as Stephanie McMahon.
Yeah.
And oh god, the beauty of the nuclear heat.
Yeah, and Vince is standing on the ramp, and he announces Stephanie, and she just walks past Vince.
Oh God!
And he looks at her as if to be like, "Really?" So
now you're regurgitating. Now you're bringing back shit from the heel turn, Stephanie's original heel turn on Vince at Armageddon. You know, and all of these things you're piling in, all of these pieces, the history between ECW and WWF, and all of that stuff, and you're packaging it all into this mega story that really did. I mean, it changed the whole angle. Where does this lie? As far as this was this was high quality entertainment.
I'm a massive defender of the invasion angle. I've got a bit of a soft spot for it. I do, because
what they were working with.
This is what we said before. With what they had, it was really well done. I think.
And that's not a knock on any of those, and it's not a knock on any of the dudes from WCW. I love, Palumbo and Stasiak. I love those guys. Like, I was a fan of a lot of those guys. But what I meant was, like, they didn't have the NWO. They didn't have Hogan, and
Sting,
they didn't have Goldberg, and they didn't have Sting. They didn't have all the megastars that everybody that didn't know, people didn't know what was going on. They didn't understand why those people weren't there.
Exactly.
And because of that stuff, and because they couldn't just come out on TV and just explain it.
Yeah.
It was so difficult, because they didn't want the fans to just ultimately turn on all of it.
No. Yeah, exactly.
Or inevitably when all those people did show up, it had to be a big deal. They were able to they made the best of what they did. But here's the thing. You're dealing with WCW, and it's not, and it was never the WCW talent. It was always it was always the writing. It was always the management. There was nothing going on then, And those guys coming over, I can't imagine the culture shock between the difference between just being thrown into a WWF environment. I imagine that a bunch of them just couldn't handle. They just were not. They were not prepared. If anything, I'll say critical about it is that WWF did not prepare the WCW talent well enough for the shift in environment. I think there was a lot of things that went bad because of a lot of things that had nothing to do with the talent's level of talent.
Exactly.
But the question is, where does this? Where's
this like?
Top 10?
This is a really weird one because it's such a dark horse.
Yeah. Entertaining, effective, better than Sasha against Natalya. Because right now Sasha's turn on Natalya on Raw is at the bottom of our list.
And it's sitting there getting ready to be edged out completely.
It probably is gonna be edged out because I can't. Those were on my list. Sasha was on my list, and this was on my list. I can't put this below. I can't put Sasha up as much as I love Sasha Banks and all of her heel turns and everything she's ever done. I can't put it above. I can't put. For my own personal enjoyment and entertainment, I can't possibly put this below that.
I would put this I'd maybe put this between Dominic and Shawn.
I would put it. I would too. I would put it in forms. In forms of our own entertainment. I'm just saying. I definitely can't put it on unless I'll gladly put it there because I wouldn't put it above Michaels and Marty either.
I think
that's where we're putting it.
It's a dark horse, but I think it definitely sits there. And I'm not sad about the ones that are below it either. I think they
no, not at all.
They're in a good spot.
Way.
All right.
So this leaves our last one.
This leaves the last one, and it's definitely one that I think a lot of people listening up to this point will be like, why haven't you brought this one up already? Well, here it comes.
Because we're bringing it up now.
That's right. So it's WrestleMania 17. It's April 1st, 2001. It's Rock versus Austin.
It's also my birthday.
And it's also your birthday. It's my birthday too.
Hey.
And look at that. And then this is Austin finally, well, not finally, but Austin, well, they as they call it, shaking hands with the devil. That's what they always called it, right? Because Austin...
Yeah, this was so good.
Austin wanted the WWF Championship so badly that he would literally shake hands with the devil in order to get it, and that's exactly what he did. And he aligned himself with Vince in order to get the WWF Championship. And as you know,
28 minute and 8 second, amazing,
freaking. As we all know, one of the best main events in WrestleMania history. One of the best main events and matches in wrestling history. Yeah. One of the best WrestleManias in WrestleMania history too. The whole card is amazing. But just a quick look at that card because I pulled it up just so I could get that time check. Sidebar on this: Chris Jericho versus William Regal. Taz in the APA against Right to Censor. Kane versus Raven. Eddie Guerrero versus Test. Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit. Chyna versus Ivory. Shane McMahon versus Vince McMahon. In a street fight.
Edge and Christian. This was Edge and Christian.
That's the TLC. That's the famous TLC match. This was the
inaugural TLC match. So that's Also, rest in peace, Iron Sheik. Winning the gimmick battle royal. Yeah, by eliminating.
And we had Undertaker versus Triple H for the first time at WrestleMania. We had. There's just so many.
Which might have been the match. Was this the match that cemented the Undertaker as having a streak at this point?
No, it was the year after. It was the year after he beat Ric Flair, and then he did the. He wasn't at 18. No, he was at 18. That's where he beat Ric Flair. And he put the 10 up, and that's for the first year that it was a thing. He basically put all his fingers out in front of him and said 10 wins, basically.
10 wins, yeah.
Yeah. So obviously Vince comes out with a chair. It's a bit weird. We're not quite sure exactly why Vince is out there. It feels a bit odd because you'd think obviously he's going to be there to screw with Austin, and
right.
Austin
was
and
not,
Vince have been in a rivalry since 1997. It's now 2001. So it's a long time.
Was Rock a heel? Was this corporate Rock heel champ?
This is the thing. Neither of these guys were heel at this point. They were both face.
It was just a thing.
It was just like
just
the Rock
versus Austin.
Austin was champion. Rock was champion. Austin had won the Royal Rumble, and he went on to face the Rock at Mania, and he was hell bent on winning that WWE championship.
Which, by the way, that WWF championship that he won in that match was that not the big circle?
That's the big WWF. The big like Attitude Era staple WWF championship. The one after the Winged Eagle.
Yes, the one that our brand new logo
that's right. The very sexy logo. Oh boy, I love
between
that thing.
Yes, as Punks Who Talk Wrestling, we wanted to take some of the best wrestling era belts and some of the best iconic Punk things we could think of. So. Yeah, that's a mashup
together.
of Ramon. Yeah, you notice there's a mashup of the Ramones logo, the iconic Ramones circle logo, and the Attitude Era WWF title.
It's a beautiful thing.
Let us know what you think in the comments below.
It's a beautiful thing.
So
brings out the chair, and then obviously he basically. I believe it was a no disqualification match. It was, yeah.
It was a no TQ match.
Yeah, that's all. He basically wills Austin to just, and he does. Vince is standing in the ring, and he pummels the Rock with a chair. Just not only just like whacking him like you'd normally, but he's like digging him in with like the very edge of the chair into his ribs and just pummeling him for like an uncomfortable amount of time, to the point where Rock just cannot kick out, and he pins him, wins the title, stands up, has the title in his hand, and there's that really famous image where Vince puts his hand out, and you're surely thinking at this point, all right, he's just used Vince. He's just going to stunner him now because that's Austin.
Right.
And he reaches his hand out, shakes his hand, and they walk away from one another, and they have a beer with one another. And it's just like, wow. It's a moment. Yeah, it's a moment, because it's like these guys have been at each other's throats for literally 5 years. And here they are, shaking hands, and it really was. Yeah, it's like I love how they say that, because it's always, but it was like shaking hands with the devil. It's like you literally sold your soul in order to win the WWF Championship.
Absolutely, and it was because it was during that time where Stone Cold in his ever nuanced. You think a guy in just black trunks and black boots, and a vest, wouldn't have as much nuance as he did, but like Austin was so smart in every iteration. Oh hell yeah! He had there were mannerism changes. There was verbal changes. There were he would change his style of how he would enter and exit the ring. Like his moveset altered. He would alter it slightly. He was always himself. You were always getting 100% Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's what made it so that's what made it so, I guess, the turn that he had, because it wasn't him turning. It wasn't the classic, "Ooh, I'm going to hit you from behind to show you," or hit you out of nowhere to solidify my heel turn. I'm already in a match with this. I'm showing you my alliance. This, one of the other ones that didn't even make our list, which is very similar, was Roman Reigns' heel turn aligning with Paul Heyman. Yeah. The revelation that you're now with this person is the shit. Is an alignment shift. Yeah. It's like if we want in D&D terms, it's like picking up a freaking cursed object and your alignment shifts. Yeah. You're still the same person. It's still Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's still Rattlesnake. He's a fucking rattlesnake. What do you think? Like, what does a rattlesnake do? Strikes. When at opportune time, like, he's never not been Stone Cold through all of these things, and that's what makes it so fascinating.
Well, the thing is, the night after on Raw, if you want to talk about where this led to, the night after on Raw, a rematch was made between Austin and Rock, and this time they were in a cage, and this is where we saw the formation of the 2-man power trip.
Yeah.
Triple H comes in, they lock the cage, and they beat the crap out of the Rock with Vince. Yep. And Vince, we don't really know where this is all leading to, really, unfortunately, because not soon after, obviously, Triple H gets his quad injury. But for a brief period of time, we had the 2-man power trip with Vince kind of at the helm.
And we haven't seen...
At one point, we had Triple H as Intercontinental Champion and Austin as WWF Champion, and they were both tag team champions together at the same time.
That was the solidification of the 2-man power trip. Was when the two of them held at that time all the titles. Yeah, all the titles that there were for them to have.
Yeah, and they got in a rivalry with the Brothers of Destruction as well. And it's a whole
but we haven't seen, and I have been wanting. That's another one of those things that WWE is holding on for dear life. There's another 2-man power trip coming. I just don't know when, and I don't know who.
I don't know when, I don't know who, but it's going to happen.
Man,
yeah.
It'll be, at this point, give me the Lotharios in NXT as 2-man NXT power trips. Because with their new storyline, with the new storyline that they're going, I could totally see them just getting like, getting down to business and taking it all. Mm-hmm. You know, Humberto Carrero and Humberto and Garza. Yeah. They're coming. Those guys are coming back around. They've got a big push for them.
Yeah, for sure.
Down there, it's going to be great. So yeah, 100%. I'm putting my eggs into a Lothario's 2-man power trip right now. But anyway, the real question is, where does this go? Where does this go? We've got a heel turn.
Oh boy, I see this going. Oh man, this is difficult. It's going to be top 3 for me.
Well, let's look at what it checks off. It checks off. Didn't expect it. Did not expect it.
Did not expect. No way. And there's not a single soul that would have called that happening.
It's nuanced because it's not just the typical, turning on friend,
someone,
turning on longtime friend,
it's an allegiance change. Yeah.
It was an entire inner character change. Like
there's a big significance to it as well. You're taking a 5-year storyline. That's a long time.
And you're showing that after 5 years of brutal, the most vicious rivalry that a character can have with their boss.
Yeah.
And then it's like, did Stone Cold finally get indoctrinated into the business? Like, is he now a corporate sellout for real? Like,
exactly.
How is he going to get out of this? How do you come back from that?
Exactly. And plus, it shows, it makes the WWF Championship look important because it's like he's willing to literally do anything to get that title, and he would align himself with Vince just to get it. So, part of me saying second place. I still think the screw job's more important.
Oh, geez. That's hard. I mean, I don't know that I could put that. That's going to be tough for me to put that above Savage.
I'm okay with it being. I'm okay with it being third. I would accept it to be third, but I'm looking at. Well, that's the thing. Yeah, looking at what's below it, I think it has to be third because it's definitely better than Rollins turning on the Shield. It's got to be. That's our third. I'm sorry, Sasha, but Sasha gets Sasha. We knew that was happening. Boot. Sasha gets the boot. And you know what? For all the criteria, it does actually. My personal enjoyment of Sasha Banks' heel turns it just can't outweigh all of these. Yeah.
So with that being said, man,
we have a top 10.
Here's our
Punch Talk Wrestling heel turns list
Here's our top 10. You want me to read them, or do you want to read it? How about this? How about this? I'll read the date. I'll read the date and what it was, and you read once again what it was.
Sure.
So
go for it.
So
let's
number
work from
10,
the bottom. Work from the bottom.
Yeah, number 10. Yeah, number 10. December 11th, 2014, NXT Revolution.
You have Kevin Owens turning on Sami Zayn in the main event for the NXT Championship.
Yeah, you know what? I think we should just go back and forth with this. I think it's easy.
Let's do that.
You do the next one. You do the next one.
We have Dominic Mysterio turning on his dad and Edge at Clash of the Castle, September 2nd, 2022.
Yes, so that would be number 8. Then is July 9th, 2001 episode of Raw with the emergence of ECW, ex-ECW stars turning on WWE and the creation of the what was that, the
Alliance?
It's the creation of the Alliance. Man.
Right, number 7, we got the famous Shawn Michaels turning on Marty Jannetty on the Barbershop on the Wrestling Challenge, January 12th, 1992.
Right. So 6 is December 12th, 1999, Armageddon. The Stephanie McMahon Helmsley turn on her father Vince at Armageddon.
We got number 5, we got Tommaso Ciampa taking out his DIY partner in Johnny Gargano at NXT TakeOver Chicago, May 20th, 2017.
Yeah, number 4 is Seth Rollins turning on the Shield on the Raw of June 2nd, 2014.
We got number 3, top 3. We got Austin aligning himself with the Devil and Mr. McMahon at WrestleMania 17, April 1st, 2001.
Yes, number 2, February 3rd, 1989. The eldest of the pack, still with the silver medal at the top 2. Main event 2, Randy Savage turning on Hulk Hogan, definitively ending the Mega Powers.
And number 1, the very one that we were like, are we even going to put this in the top 10 because we weren't even sure if this was going to be a top 10 contender, but here it is at number 1.
We knew it was number 1 all along. Let's not be honest. We knew it was number 1 all along. We just had to work ourselves into this.
Yeah, he said you did work myself into
it. We had to change our own rules to allow this to happen.
We've got the Montreal Screwjob, but more so Mr. McMahon, Vince McMahon becoming Mr. McMahon, the creation of the most dastardly, despicable heel of all time.
Greatest heel of all time.
Survivor Series, November 9th, 1997, and that is our top 10.
That is it, folks. If you've made it this far, congratulations. Tell us all of the things that you think we're wrong about, or tell us things you think you agree with.
Yeah.
Or just give a thumbs up. Do whatever you want.
Or tell us about the heel turns that we missed out on, because we 100% did.
That's a better call to action. That's why I got you here, buddy. Tell us about your favorite heel turns.
Yeah, because there's a lot of them. Because doing the research with this, boy, were there a lot of them.
There were so many. I mean, there was tons that I didn't even that I'm sure we didn't even think of.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
All right, hey man, that's it.
All right,
I think that's how we wrap these up. That's it.
That's right. They just kind of end. That's it.
Just kind of fall apart. One of these days hey, if you know me, you know one thing. It's sticking the landing. Not my strong suit. We'll work on that.
We'll work on that. That's it. Bye-bye.